Hello, welcome to this video on Kid by Simon Armitage. Well, we always start, don't we, with the title. This is a poem about Batman and Robin, so how come it's called Kid? Well, one reason could be that Armitage is focusing on a youthful protagonist, someone who is really young, and despite the fact that he's claiming he's outgrown Batman, is actually still a kid, even though he feels that he's overcome this label of being a kid by Batman. So he's an immature person. That's one possibility. Another one, of course, is that he's young and is about to flourish. So the persona in Kid has got rid of Batman, like Robin getting rid of Batman, and he's now going to become a superhero in his own right. So it could be a poem about growth. Many people have looked at this poem and decided that it's not just about Batman and Robin, it's also about any kind of relationship where a young person looks up to an older, more experienced adult. I prefer looking at it in a much more specific way, instead of seeing it as having a general sort of meaning in that way, that it's actually about a specific kind of relationship. One where the adult is seen by the young person to be exploiting them, and whether or not they're being exploited is open to debate. And the relationship between Batman and Robin becomes a metaphor for this. Is Batman developing Robin, or is he keeping Robin permanently in his place as the sidekick? Simon Armitage has enormous amounts of fun with this Robin and Batman idea. He's my age, around about 52, and he will have grown up as I did watching the Adam West Batman and Robin stories, and he makes great use of these in the poem, often ironically and always with humour. So part of the language that Armitage takes is directly from the TV series. Robin was always saying holy this and holy that, and the kind of utterances he'd come up with were increasingly ridiculous. Holy strawberries, Batman, we're in a jam. Really bad puns like that. Here, Armitage does something really subtle. He also takes that language and puts it in tabloid language, the language of the sun or the mirror or the star, in trying to sensationalise what Batman has been up to. So, Holy Robin, Redbreast, Nest Egg, Shocker. It sounds like a tongue twister, doesn't it? And Armitage is having fun with the words. Now, breast, obviously, we associate with the Sun newspaper on page 3, certainly when this was written. And Robin is being connected with the breast. So this makes us ask a question. Is Robin interested in the same women as Batman? Or is Robin the sexual interest of Batman? So there's a suspicion that Robin is perhaps a sexual victim of Batman's interest. This is added to with Holy Roll Me Over in the Clover. Roll Me Over in the Clover is a song lyric, and it's basically a euphemism for sex. Take me and have sex with me is what it says. And we're ambivalent here. Is Robin saying that that's how Batman has used him? Was it a consensual relationship? In other words, was this a homosexual affair? Or was Robin underage? Now, Armitage never gives us any clues. All we get is Robin's resentment. Now, of course, you can interpret this poem as not having any kind of sexual relationship between Robin and Batman. And those quotations that I've just given you can be seen as simply scandals that Robin is bringing up. Batman has been indulging in sexual escapades when he's supposed to be a moral, upstanding person, a role model, a hero, and they don't have to be with Robin at all. So be careful here. You don't have to interpret it as a relationship between Robin and Batman. However, the longer I look at this poem, the more it seems that Armitage is pulling on this relationship for me as a reader. And that's why the next line is, I'm not playing ball boy any longer. So a ball boy fetches the balls in tennis, but you don't play at being a ball boy, you play at tennis. And Armitage has moved that verb in order to suggest that he's had to play a role with Batman as the ball boy, and that's clearly sexually suggestive. Ball here becomes testicles. It's not just the tennis ball. However, you don't have to take that meaning. You can just see it as a way of saying, look, I'm not playing your games anymore. I'm no longer going to be Robin to your Batman. I'm taking over. So you don't have to have any sexual interpretation if you don't wish to. And now remember, the skill of the A star is to have more than one interpretation going on at the same time and decide which one you think is best. So I wouldn't dismiss the sexual interpretation out of hand. You'd raise it in order to then dismiss it if you disagree with it. We can then see the description of his off-the-shoulder Sherwood Forest Green and Forest number as using the language of fashion in an ironic sort of way. Look what an idiot I look like. Now, if you look at the actual pictures of the 1960s Batman and Robin series, you'll see that Armitage has drawn exactly on that kind of ridiculous clothing with a cape that Robin and Batman both wore. But there's a sexual element to this description as well. It's not just the language of fashion. The idea that Robin's off-the-shoulder number is partly revealing, isn't it? It's partly sexual. And it suggests that he's having to dress that way, not just to please Batman because his costume fits in with Batman, but to please him because it's that very look that Batman wants in him. There's this kind of sexual allure. Their relationship has also been described in other ways. So Batman has obviously suggested that he's been a father figure to Robin, but Robin has scotched that. No, you were never like a father, is what he's arguing. Your relationship was something else. Well, if we take the sexual connotations out of it, he simply let Robin wander leeward. In other words, he's given Robin his freedom, but Robin has seen that as being ditched in the gutter. You didn't leave me to go free, is his argument. You actually abandoned me and left me without hope, left me on my own. Of course, the other allusion there, you weren't like a father to me, your relationship with me was inappropriate, can be backed up with the quotations we looked at earlier if you wish. One of the problems for me of not seeing this as a kind of inappropriate sexual relationship is the language of the Sun newspaper headline. Why use tabloid headlines if all you're going to say is, oh, well, he wasn't really much of a dad to me, he wasn't really that much of a role model. It's not that big a story. However, if you want to take the sexual allusions out of it and magnify that story, then we've got this idea of abandonment. We've got the idea of him taking company expenses when he's taken this married woman downtown. Again, that's sexually euphemistic. He's done it in the motor. Armitage is having fun with this kind of London lad sort of description of the car, which is, of course, in the series, the Batmobile, a car that every boy would love. So Robin is just dismissing that. It's not really a Batmobile, it's just a car. He's not really a superhero, he's just a rather weak man who has affairs. Then we can look at the nest egg shocker as perhaps embezzlement, or he's had an affair with a woman in order to get money out of her. None of this is provable, it's just innuendo, it's just gossip that Robin is giving us about Batman. And then a final clue that this isn't just a story about Batman and Robin, but a more real relationship, is this image of Batman cooking his chicken giblets on the cooker. This wouldn't happen to the real Batman, who's a multimillionaire. He's never going to end up in poverty. So Robin is describing a real person that he's abandoned. That to me sounds like a real relationship. He is now harder, stronger, faster because he has grown up into adulthood, while Batman himself, this figure, has grown much older. significantly older. They're obviously on their own. Giblets are not the best part of the chicken. They're the kind of waste product that you probably chuck away. And he hasn't got much of it, which is why it's in a stew. You know, this sounds like a real person who's fallen on hard times, and this young man who's now grown up, the Robin figure, is grateful for that. You know, really bitter towards Batman. This idea of Batman punching his palm is an image that comes straight out of the 1960s TV series, where Batman would be ready for action. This was his kind of very camp way of showing that he was about to go off and solve crime. Well, here it's the reverse that's happening. It's used ironically. Batman's punching his hand uselessly. It happens all winter because he now has no partner in Robin, and he has no role. There's no crime for him to fight. The tone of the poem is really interesting. It's only 4 sentences long, which is strange given how many lines there are in the poem. Robin is clearly really articulate, and it's as though he has planned this speech for quite some time. All his resentment is coming out, but it's not coming out on the cuff, on the spur of the moment. He's been dreaming of this time when he's outgrown Batman. Not only has Robin become much more powerful, harder, faster, stronger, but significantly, Batman has had to become weaker and less of a man in order to please Robin. And that's why he starts with Batman, big shot, these plosive B's conveying his anger. And the big shot is how he thinks Batman has seen himself all his life, and now here's Robin to show him how that is no longer true. He is now a shadow of his former self. In fact, he uses this image of without a shadow because Robin felt that he was Batman's shadow, always at his side, but also kept low by Batman. And now he's superior to Batman. There's no shadow there. Batman has no substance. He takes that B of Batman and changes it at the end of the poem to the B of baby. That contrast. Batman, big shot, 2 alliterative B's, now become the alliteration of baby. It's still angry, but it's victorious. You know, I'm now greater than you are. And I started the video by talking about Robin's immaturity here, and we can see it in this kind of unpleasant attack on Batman, looking at his old age and comparing him to a helpless baby and taking pleasure in that. And even Robin's description of Batman acknowledges that Batman thought he was doing the right thing. He thought he was like a brother, an older brother. He thought he was like a father. He allowed Robin to wander, and it's Robin who has seen that as an abusive relationship. But he could still acknowledge that Batman thought he was doing the right thing. Well, Robin can't claim that he's doing the right thing here. You know, he's just bitter and he's just angry. And there's an interesting shift. Armitage often does this, where we think we're on one character's side, and actually we get to the end of the poem and think, oh, are we? You know, is Robin a better person than Batman was? And I think that's debatable. And because you want the A star, you want to be able to evaluate, and evaluation means taking those 2 ideas and playing with them. Is Robin a better person than Batman at the end? Are we supposed to fully sympathise with him? We certainly love his language. I've already mentioned the alliteration, the energy of it, huge number of verbs in the poem, and the energy is also contained with the ERs at the end of each line, so that the rhyme is the same all the way through. If you've read about this, you'll know that it echoes the Batman theme tune. Batman. You can follow that through, but of course the final Batman is missing. He won't put that in because this is a poem against Batman. So we get the tune, and then the absence. There is no more Batman. And that's why Kid is giving us this monologue, this poem. He wants to get rid of Batman once and for all. So there's nothing left of him. Batman has gone from superhero to father to younger brother to baby, and the next stage of the journey is nothing.